Bridgeside.
What's up, people? It's your boy, Chris the Analyst Ventura here, bringing you another edition of Fantasy Rundown. This is the third episode of Fantasy Rundown. Last 2 weeks we did wide receivers and we did running backs. We did the the early round picks for those. I kind of want to go over the wide receivers and running backs later that I like, as well as some quarterbacks and tight ends real quickly, and then I want to go over week one because I know a lot of you have had your drafts already, and season starts tomorrow. So let's get right into it. Running backs, wide receivers that I didn't go over last time that you can take, in the fourth round or later around. So start with running backs. We ended around I said Dalvin Cook as the 12th running back. I think I said Ty Montgomery 13. I had Isaiah Crowell up there. I have Leonard Fournette a little further down, like 18th, 19th best running back around there. I got McCaffrey in the middle around 15. I play PPR leagues, but in standard, Fournette is obviously much higher for me. He's going to get a lot of volume, so that's what you're looking for in a standard league. And then some back-end running backs that you can get later on. Bilal Powell on the New York Jets. We know that the Jets obviously are really, really bad, but Bilal Powell is the main source of production on that team. He's pretty much the only really good player on that offense. They're going to feed him the ball. I would think Forte will slowly get less touches throughout the season. Powell will get more and more. Plus, Powell will be the pass-catching back. The Jets will be down most games by a lot, and game script says they're going to end up passing. And who are these young quarterbacks like Hackenberg or even McCown, these bad quarterbacks, who are they going to pass to the most? Safety valves, underneath routes to guys like Bilal Powell. Austin Seferian-Jenkins is actually a sleeper I like as tight end, but he's missing the first 2 weeks of suspension. But yeah, Powell, a really good running back, especially in PPR. In standard, I drop him a little lower because obviously he's going to do a lot of his damage through the air. But that's a guy you should target in your drafts because he's going in like the 5th or 6th round. And as a running back that's going to get a lot of carries and be a focal point of the offense, that's a pretty good value. Another guy who I absolutely love this year, maybe more than anybody, is Amir Abdullah on the Lions. He's going in like the 6th or 7th rounds of a lot of drafts. Another guy you would rather have probably more in PPR because he's probably not going to get as much volume as a starting running back as, say, Leonard Fournette. He might get like 200 carries to 220 carries, something like that. But he will catch passes. And people think he won't just because Theo Riddick is there and is the third down back. But that's just not true. Yes, Theo Riddick is the third down back and will get a lot of targets in the passing game. But Abdullah is a great pass catcher. People don't realize that. And on first and second down, when the Lions decide to pass, which they pass very often, they will throw the ball to Abdullah. He's very elusive, great agility. He's a smaller running back, but he looked healthy in preseason. He had 100 yards against the New England Patriots. So I think that's a great value in the 6th, 7th round. I know there's the injury risk because he was out last year, but people say he's injury prone. That's just not true. He was injured one time with one major injury. I don't think that's considered injury prone. I would say you just got unlucky at that point. If he had 4 or 5 different injuries throughout his career, then you could say he's injury prone. But he had one major injury, and that's it. His rookie year, he was behind Joique Bell on the depth chart, so he really didn't get much playing time to prove his worth. But that's a guy you should target in those rounds. Some other late round running back sleepers I like. I like Doug Martin this year. He looked really good in preseason. He's got the 3-game suspension, which is actually now he's coming back week 5 because of the hurricane situation with Tampa Bay and Miami game, which will be week 11 now. So Doug Martin's a great guy, great value to get because you could get him now, especially now in the 8th or 9th round even. And that's a start. When he comes back, I know that people saying Jaquiz might steal the job. And, that's possible. But I feel like Jaquiz doesn't have the talent that Doug Martin does. Doug Martin's had some huge years throughout his career. And when he's healthy, he's really, really a good running back. He should get most of the carries, over 60%, 65% when he comes back. And that's a running back you could plug in right away into your flex, even into your RB2 spot if he really does really well when he comes back. And that offense is very good. That Tampa Bay team is very good. So you're going to want a running back like that on your team at that value in 8th or 9th round. So him, I like Wendell Smallwood on the Eagles. LeGarrette Blount hasn't looked very good, especially in PPR leagues. LeGarrette Blount does not catch any passes whatsoever. He's a big guy. He's one-dimensional. Yeah, he will get goal line work, but he's not going to have 18 touchdowns like he had last year on New England. That's just not going to happen. If anything, he'd be lucky if he gets 10. So you want a guy that catches passes in PPR, especially Wendell Smallwood. He's a younger. He's a guy who hasn't really had a full opportunity yet, and he's shown glimpses of being a good running back. He's versatile. He's elusive. He's faster than Blount, so he's change of pace, which is good. Sproles is old. He'll be the third down back exclusively, which is fine. But I think Wendell Smallwood will eventually take over that job and be the main running back in that system. I'm not saying he's going to get, 20 carries a game, but, even if he gets 15 and, 3 or 4 targets a game, that's good enough to have fantasy production. And where you're getting him is in the late rounds, the flyer rounds, the 12th, 13th, 14th round. I mean, that's a steal at that point. So him. Now let's go to wide receivers. I'll go right to wide receivers. Wide receivers, back deep. Guy I really love a lot, Kevin White on the Chicago Bears, going even as late as the 10th round in some drafts. I'm probably going to reach for him because of the talent, astronomical talent. The guy is 6'3", I believe, 215 pounds, burns for a guy that size, and is now the main weapon on that Chicago Bears pass attack with Cameron Meredith out for the season. You might have to worry about double coverage, but you know what? The Bears actually did a good job of solidifying some depth on that roster. They have Kendall Wright. He's a decent slot receiver to have in the NFL. I'm not saying he's going to be a great fantasy asset, but he'll help out in the underneath and short to intermediate passing game. And they have Marcus Wheaton and other guys that could fill in. Deonta Thompson. So White is a big play threat. He should be the main red zone target. Everybody in that receiving corps now is small. They're not going to get touchdowns. White is going to vulture touchdowns on that team. So you're going to want him. Plus, they're going to be behind a lot in a lot of games. So because their defense is very bad, and Mike Glennon is their quarterback, which could be an issue. But I don't worry about that when you got a big time receiver who's going to receive a lot of volume. I mean, you're getting him. It's not like you draft him in the 3rd round. You draft him in the 8th, 9th round. That's great value for a guy like that with immense talent. Then you got certain guys I like in the receiver corps. Corey Davis on the Tennessee Titans. I think the Tennessee Titans made a lot of big moves this year. I think they're a team that could, actually run through the playoffs a little bit and make noise. It's their defense I worry about. It's middle of the road. I don't know if it's really going to be, good. It could be bad as well. So, I don't know what they're going to do. If it is good, they could be a great team because their offense is very, very good. They have a lot of weapons. That's the only problem with Corey Davis. There's a lot of weapons there. You got Rashad Matthews, who was the number 1 last year. You have Eric Decker, who they picked up. He's injury prone, but he's also a weapon. He's 6'3". He's a red zone target. They got their running backs. They're going to run a lot. Mariota's very good. It's a good team. Delaney Walker at tight end. So that's the problem with that. But Corey Davis is going in the 10th, 11th, 12th round, something like that. Another bargain because the guy is a beast. He was their 1st round pick. I think he went 6th overall in the draft this year. So, I think he's 6'3", 220 pounds, 250 pounds, something like that. Also a burner. I just like freakish guys, transformers, guys that could make big plays and make big things happen, guys that are going to get touchdowns because they're going to be the difference makers. And he could swallow up targets because, I think Decker is obviously past his prime. I think he's going to be used more as like a reliable short yardage guy when they need first downs and stuff. Rashad Matthews will give him a run for his money and take some volume, and so will Delaney Walker. But Davis, throughout the season, will become the main guy on that team. He's obviously got the most talent in the passing game, and Mariota is a very good quarterback. So look for him in your drafts. Quarterbacks, tight ends. I didn't go over them last time. You know who the top guys are. Top three, Rodgers, Brady, Breeze. If you want to put Matt Ryan 4, that's fine. You could do that, but I'm going to drop him a little lower. I actually really like Derek Carr this year on Oakland. I think that team is, growing together at the right time. Amari Cooper's 23 years old. He's been in the league 2 years already, which is crazy. And he's already a beast. You got Michael Crabtree, reliable wide receiver number 2. And the offensive line. I mean, they have an unbelievable offensive line. Now they got Marshawn Lynch. I don't think that's the greatest thing, but, he's going to pound the ball through the middle. It'll help out the passing game. And I think Derek Carr is just a really good quarterback, and he's only going to get better. It might be his breakout year. He might have, not a Matt Ryan type year, but he's going to have a year where he throws 35 touchdowns and, 12 interceptions, something like that, and throws for 4,500 yards or whatever. That's what I want. He's going late. A lot of people don't like him. I'm not sure why. I really don't know why, but he's going behind guys like sometimes Mariota and Winston and Kirk Cousins. And Kirk Cousins is very good as well. That's fine. Those quarterbacks that you could get in the 7th, 8th, 9th rounds, 10th rounds, those are the quarterbacks you want to gun for, because I don't want to reach for these other quarterbacks early on. Unless you want to get Aaron Rodgers really early on, that's fine, or Brady, if there's nothing else you really like around there. But I really like to go wide receiver, running back heavy early, because those are the guys that are going to win you the money, make you the big, have the huge weeks. The quarterbacks really don't vary too much week to week. Sometimes a low-end quarterback could give you 25, 30 points, and, Rodgers is giving you 35, 40, but the difference between a high-end elite wide receiver and then a middle-of-the-road wide receiver could be 15, 20, 25 points. Julio Jones could put up 40, 45 points. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. So, and sometimes even more consistent. So those are the quarterbacks. Other quarterbacks I like even deeper. Matthew Stafford, who's obviously very efficient. He's got a cannon. He's got weapons. He's got Eric Ebram. I even like the guy Kenny Galladay, another wide receiver sleeper to look out for. That guy's 6'4", 210 pounds, very athletic, great guy to have. Could be a red zone target for a Lions team that doesn't really have a red zone target number 1 wide receiver. Golden Tate's a small guy. He's more like a Doug Baldwin type. So these guys are very good. Matthew Stafford, Tyrod Taylor, another one I like. Not as much as I liked him when he had Watkins, but I still like him. He runs the ball. It's good to have running quarterbacks because they get you a lot of points just from running. Think about it. You run the ball, you get a point for every 10 yards you rush. Passing the ball, you get a point for every 25 yards. So if you got a guy that's rushing for 500 yards, that makes a world of difference. So anyway, those are the quarterbacks I like. Any deep quarterbacks I like? Not really, to be honest with you. It ends there at Tyrod Taylor. I really don't want to take a risk as a QB1 beyond that. Don't do that. Because it's really hit or miss. And then if you don't have a good quarterback, you're in trouble. Then moving on, tight ends real quick. Tight ends, obviously the top 5. I like the top 6. To me, there's a top 6. But obviously there's Gronk is the number 1 without a doubt. He gets injured a lot, so he's sort of a risk. He's going in the 2nd to 3rd round in drafts, but he might be well worth the risk. Jordan Reed, another one who gets injured, also very talented in a pass-happy offense that will target him a lot. Greg Olsen, Mr. Reliable, always reliable, but old at this point in his career. Then you got, Kelsey. Actually, I would have Kelsey before Olsen. I'm sorry. Kelsey, also very reliable, great tight end. These top 4 are very, very good. I mean, but, I almost like Kelsey better than Reed and Gronk just because those guys just don't stay healthy. I don't want to take the chance and draft a guy like that in the 2nd or 3rd round when I could maybe get Kelsey 4th or 5th round. And, I know he's not going to get hurt, and he's definitely the focal point of that offense with Tyreek Hill. And then you got Jimmy Graham, another guy I like because he's also one of the only weapons on that offense with Doug Baldwin. And then Delaney Walker, who's a guy you could get in the 7th or 8th round if you're lucky. And he's very consistent over the years, been great for Tennessee, and he's built a rapport with Marcus Mariota. So those are the top 6. After that, there's kind of a drop-off. I think, maybe at 7, I might even put Hunter Henry at that high. So, because you could say Martellus Bennett, you can say Eric Ebron, you can say Kyle Rudolph because he had a lot of touchdowns last year, but tight end's a very fickle position. I don't really want to really spend up too high on a tight end. So I'm okay with getting Hunter Henry in the 10th or 11th round. I'll do it. The guy had 8 touchdowns last year and played like 10 games. So I like that upside. It's all about touchdowns with tight end because honestly, unless you're getting one of the top 4 tight ends that are getting 80 catches, none of those other tight ends are getting you 80 catches. It's not happening. They're not getting 1,000 yards either. They're getting like 700 to 800 yards and 60 to 55 to 65 catches, something like that. And if they have a lot of touchdowns, that's going to make the difference at tight end. So I like Hunter Henry a lot. He's also just super talented. He's young. He's up and coming. So the sky's the limit for him. Back end tight ends I like real quick. Evan Ingram on the Giants, obviously. O.J. Howard on Tampa Bay. And Austin Hooper on the Falcons. Those guys are going to get involved. Especially Austin Hooper is going to get involved in that team because last year he didn't, and he was a rookie. He was I think a second-round pick. He's very talented. He's going to be a red zone target. So is O.J. Howard, and he's got freakish metrics. O.J. Howard, I don't even have to mention that to you. Evan Ingram, another one who I really like more than both those guys because Eli loves to target his tight ends. He hasn't had tight ends for a while now. Now he's got one who can burn. Not only burn, he's obviously big because he's a tight end. Not big for a tight end. Doesn't really block well, but who cares? It's fantasy. You need production in the passing game, and he will give that to you, I think, especially later on in the season as he builds a rapport with Eli Manning. That's the tight ends. Real quick, I'm going to go over now week 1. I want to tell you some guys I really like going in week 1. NFL, I know you guys had your drafts already. I'll tell you who to start, who to sit. Jets, Bills, 1 o'clock. We're not doing tomorrow night's game because it's here already. Jets, Bills. Obviously, I like Bilal Powell in this game because he's the only one I'm ever going to like on the Jets. Bills, obviously, LaShawn McCoy you're going to like. Zay Jones, another guy who's a sleeper, a rookie on the Bills. He's like a big possession receiver. Also could be a red zone target for that team. I think he could have a big day versus the Jets. They're just abysmal at this point. And, I mean, they might run the ball a lot, the Bills. So McCoy's your best bet. But, Jones is really the person who has the best rapport with Tyrod Taylor at this point since everybody else in that receiving corps is pretty new. Redskins, Eagles. That game... Obviously, like Terrell Pryor, Jamison Crowder. I like the Redskins' passing game. The Eagles' defense, middle of the road, I believe. They could be good. They do have some talent, up-and-coming guys, but I think the Redskins might torch them a little bit. They really do have a good passing offense, and they have a great offensive line. Rob Kelly, I would not start if you have him on your team week 1. I would wait and see with that. See what goes on, see how much they utilize him, because that's a pass-happy team, and Rob Kelly really isn't that talented of a running back. Eagles, on the other hand, Jeffrey, I don't like him this week. I'd say sit him week 1. I want to see what type of rapport he builds with Carson Wentz. I want to see what the Eagles do. They have a lot of new players. It's very, very new team. Wentz is still developing. It's not like he lit up the world last year. So, I want to wait and see what a lot of the Eagles players. Sproles is a decent play because... they're going to target him on third down a lot in the short third down plays. So, Raiders, Titans. And the Titans, I really like, obviously, everybody on that team. But week 1, I like Delaney Walker a lot, DFS especially. He's cheaper than a lot of the other tight ends. And the Raiders' defense isn't very good. He should get volume. Plus, that game script's going to say high scoring to me. I think it's going to be one of the highest scoring games on the slate. Raiders have a great offense. I think the Titans are going to have a really good offense and pound the ball, but they're both going to have to play catch-up with each other. So all those weapons in the passing game for both teams are going to do well. So I would definitely like, especially, and I think Delaney Walker, though, especially for the Titans, because he already has a rapport with Mariota, and, they're going to have to throw a lot, and he'll receive a lot of targets. Texans, Jaguars. I don't really like this game for fantasy purposes. It could be a disaster. It could be a low-scoring game. Both offenses scare me. Both defenses Jaguars could be really good. We know the Texans are going to be good. And I think it's just going to be very slow-paced, run-the-ball type game. I don't even know if I like DeAndre Hopkins in this one. I don't like Savage. I want to see what they do first. I don't like Fournette. I don't like really pretty much anybody in this game. Maybe Lamar Miller, and that's about it. Because he'll probably receive a good amount of volume knowing that they're going to try to play a game clock control game. Lions, I actually like the Lions against the Cardinals. They're going to be low percentage owned DFS, especially because the Cardinals have a really good D and they have a really good fantasy D. But the Lions are an efficient team, and I think week 1 they might surprise you. Abdullah's back. They revamped the offense. They have Kenny Galladay. The offensive line isn't as bad as it was last year. They made some pickups that might help them. So I think they'll do pretty well. Obviously, I like Emil Abdullah week 1. I'd start him because he might be low percentage owned. Or if he's on your bench, put him in season long. Cardinals, David Johnson. That's it. Steelers, Browns. I mean, you got to like Le'Veon Bell, and that's about it in this game. I don't even like the receiving game in the Steelers because I think they might blow them out so bad that they won't have to pass that much. So I don't really like Roethlisberger. I don't really like... Brown you got to like, obviously. But, that's obvious. So I don't even want to bring it up. I don't know why I did. The Browns, I do like Duke Johnson in this game a lot because they're going to be down early probably, and Dookie Johnson is the pass-catching back, the third down back. I actually think he's going to take over eventually. I don't think Isaiah Crowell is as good as everybody thinks. I think Duke's a better running back. I think he could be a 3-down running back, Duke Johnson, and in this game especially, he'll receive a lot of targets, especially with the young quarterback, the rookie quarterback, Deshaun Kaiser starting. A lot of rookie quarterbacks, they tend to, give him, the playbook says, short to intermediate passing so that they can't make mistakes. Obviously, they're going to try to run the ball a lot at the beginning of the Browns, but that's not going to work. So they're going to go to Duke a lot. They're going to go to David Njoku a lot. Another guy, a sleeper, probably low percentage old tight end rookie. A lot of rookies on this team. But, when they're down a lot, they're going to pass heavy. So there's going to be volume to go around. Bears against the Falcons. The Bears really like Kevin White, obviously, even though Marcus Trufant will be covering him. Not every time, but he's going to get volume. They're going to go down big in this game to the Falcons because obviously the Falcons are going to put up numbers. I don't even have to mention the guys you have to have on the Falcons, but have the running game of the Falcons, Devonta Freeman especially, because if they go up big, they won't have to pass as much. The Bears will, so I do like Kevin White, and I do like maybe even Kendall Wright might be a sneaky play this week because a lot of underneath passes to him. He's one of those slot type receivers. He might, especially in PPR, he might get a lot of targets. Bengals, Ravens. I really like Danny Woodhead in that one. That's probably the only person I like on the Ravens this week. The Bengals have a D that's hard to predict. They do create a lot of turnovers. They do have some players that could, make big plays. But their defense as a whole, I don't think is that good. I think it's a little overrated. But I do think Danny Woodhead will see a lot of targets. I think Flacco loves him. The Ravens have been raving about him. You just got to hope he doesn't get hurt. Bengals, on this team, I don't like the running backs right now. I take a wait-and-see approach. There's 3 of them that could get involved. I don't know what the timeshare is going to be. So don't dive into the hype with Joe Mixon right away. I'd even possibly bench him if you got him in season long for a running back who has a better matchup on your bench or a flex wide receiver that you have on your bench. And then in the Bengals passing game, obviously you got to like A.J. Green and you got to like Tyler Eifert for the red zone. Sneaky play. People forget he's a red zone monster, that guy. That's about it there. Colts, Rams. This is the game now. So I'm going to do survival pool 2 this week for you guys doing survival pool. This would be my pick for the survival pool week 1 because I don't want to waste my pick on the Steelers yet. I don't want to waste my pick on, New England passed already, but I don't want to waste my pick like on the Texans. I think, this might be the best matchup Texans get, but I think Texans might have another matchup I could use the Texans on as they get better throughout the season. Maybe Deshaun Watson comes in, the team gets a lot better. Maybe I could use them then. But the Rams, I don't think I'll be able to ever use again besides now. And I like using the Rams against the Colts week 1 at home without Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck is 100% out week 1. Scott Tolzien's the quarterback. That team is horrible without Luck. Luck makes that team, just like Peyton made that team for many years. They have no defense, Swiss cheese defense. Gurley, I love him this week. He should have 30 carries this week. They're going to run the ball all over the place on the Colts. And the Colts are going to have to play catch-up. I do like Jack Doyle as a sneaky play because Scott Tolzien obviously isn't going to be throwing bombs all over the field. So maybe he'll go to his outlet, the tight end Jack Doyle a lot. especially in PPR. Maybe you'll get some volume. I don't like Frank Gore against a stingy Rams front seven. And like I said, Rams in the survivor pool. I would take them. I think it's a lock for them to win. 49ers, Panthers. That's another one. 49ers, I actually like their passing game. Sneaky. Brian Hoyer, last year had 6 touchdowns, 0 picks in the time that he played. That's actually pretty good stats. He did really well for the Bears. And I don't think the 49ers are going to really run too well on the Panthers. I also think the Panthers are going to put up a lot of points against the 49ers because their D isn't very good at all. So there won't be too much Hyde. I think Hyde, he might have an okay game, but it's going to be a lot of passing on the 49ers part. And Hoyer is going to target Pierre Garçon a lot. That's his main receiver. PPR, that's a guy you want to have, a guy like that probably is going to get 10 targets in this game, I would think. And Goodwin, sneaky play in basically DFS tournaments, boom or bust. The guy flies. He could take the top off of defense. If he catches one pass for 60 yards and a touchdown for you, it made your week already because he's so cheap. And he's the number 2 wide receiver in the 49ers. And I think Hoyer could do that. Panthers secondary isn't very hard. Last year was horrible, Panthers secondary. They had 2 rookies starting at cornerback. So it hasn't improved that much. I think they could do some damage in that secondary. Packers, Seahawks, don't really like too much in this game. I do like Devontae Adams because I think Jordy Nelson a lot of times will be covered by Sherman. And I think with those 2 safeties, Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, Martellus Bennett, I would not start. I would sit Martellus Bennett this week with those 2 safeties out there. I'd like to see how the Packers use Bennett first because this team is loaded with weapons. He might not get the targets you want. He didn't even get the targets you wanted in New England last year. Some games he put up 30 points. The next game he put up 3 points. So I would wait and see with Bennett. If you have a better option, I would use it. But I do like Adams. And I do like Cobb as a sneaky play as well. He could be open for a lot of underneath passes that Rodgers wants to get to him. And then in the Seahawks, I like Graham. Packers secondary is very bad. Bolden, I don't know. I feel like Bolden might not have the game you want. I think he's a better cash game play. Obviously, season long, you got to start him because you took him in the first 3 rounds. You're not benching a guy you took in the first 3 rounds. But Graham is a guy I think that might have a big day. Running backs, I don't think so. They might have to play catch up a little bit. Even though the Seahawks D is very good, I still think the Packers are going to put up points. This might be the best offense in the NFL. Giants, Cowboys. Giants, Cowboys. The Cowboys are going to run the ball all day now that they got Zeke back. Definitely playing week 1. I don't like Dak. Fade Dak this week because Dak probably just isn't going to get the volume. He might be safe. He might not make mistakes. He might not throw a pick, but he's not going to have the volume you want from your quarterback, especially in DFS tournaments or in season long because you want your quarterback to put up like 20, 25, at least 20 points. And then the Giants, honestly, I don't know what to make of the Giants. They really are a scary team right now. I think the offensive line could be a disaster. They're not. I wouldn't trust any running back. I wouldn't take any running back except maybe Vereen in a tournament play because maybe the Giants are going to light him up a lot in short to intermediate passing game if they don't get protection. Ingram, also a boom or bust play. I like him in the DFS. But the only one you could really rely on is Odell here. Marshall, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could start him, but the Giants I could see the Giants, this being just really a close game, going back and forth, low-scoring game. Giants D is very good, and they got the Cowboys number. The Giants offense they could put up 10 points or it could put up 25 points. I honestly don't know. But you want Odell, obviously, in there. And then, the Monday night games, Saints, Vikings, Chargers, Broncos. Those 2 games, I think Dalvin Cook, heavy Vikings. I think Dalvin Cook for the season is going to be I think he's going to end up being a running back 1, possibly even top 10 by the season's over. I don't care how bad the Vikings offensive line is. Dalvin Cook is an elusive running back. He's not a dime a dozen running back. He's a different running back. And in PPR especially, he's a great pass catcher. And he hits home runs. And that's what you want, especially in DFS too. The first week against the Saints D that isn't very good. Saints D, and the Vikings are going to look to play clock management, run the ball, and use their D to their advantage. But the Saints are probably going to put up points anyway. And I don't really like too much of the Saints besides obviously the obvious guys, Michael Thomas, and maybe even Alvin Kamara, sneaky play. He'll be cheap in DFS. If you have him on, I wouldn't start him in season long because you don't know what the timeshare is going to be back there. But in DFS, he's a nice boom or bust because he should get targets. I mean, they really like this guy, and he's like a future Darren Sproles for the Saints team. Vikings, on the other hand, like I said, Dalvin Cook all day. Passing game, maybe, I guess Kyle Rudolph might have a couple good opportunities, and he's not too expensive, I hope, on DFS. I have to check. And the other guys, I really don't like the Vikings receiving corps besides Laquan Treadwell because he's another steal wide receiver I really like. Young guy, first-round pick, 6'2" or 6'3", 210 pounds. Guys I like. I told you, Transformers. All these guys, freaks. He's really athletic. He's big. He's strong. He could help this team in the future. But right now, he's the number 3 wide receiver. So I'd take a wait-and-see approach. Maybe use him in DFS as a boom or bust. Chargers, Broncos, I'd say the only guy I really like here, I don't really like Melvin Gordon. Actually, maybe but Melvin Gordon. Last year, the Broncos had a great D, but they were the no-fly zone. You could run on them. They did get run on a lot last year, especially towards the end. Maybe Melvin Gordon could have a decent game, but he's a must-start anyway. Broncos, I don't like the running back situation. I don't want to touch it. And the Chargers D actually isn't as bad as people think. I think it's an up-and-coming D. It could be really good. They could get a lot of pressure. They could be a really good fantasy D as well. And the quarterback situation in the Broncos, Simeon isn't proven quarterback. He's middle of the road at best if he plays to his top potential. Chargers, offense maybe. I guess, Keenan Allen, I know you got to draft him early, but, this Broncos D is really, really good. I don't think Keenan Allen's going to give you the production you want out of a wide receiver number 1. Maybe I take one of the lower guys because they're cheaper, like Hunter Henry, for example, might be a good play. Or even Antonio Gates in a DFS, like a boom or bust tournament because nobody's going to take him. He'll be low owned, and he might get touchdowns because he's looking to break the record. So that's going to be a thing that they're going to try to do early and often. So when they get an opportunity to, they will. But this game, mostly I would stay away from. But otherwise, that's the whole rundown for week 1. I know it was long today. I apologize, but I wanted to get in the running backs, the wide receivers, the tight ends, and all them for your drafts, whoever has drafts left. But I appreciate it. Thanks for joining. Come back next week. Next week, leave some comments on GoBridgeside.com. Leave some comments on or call in or leave some comments on Facebook because I want to answer questions. I want to help you guys from a week-to-week basis at this point. The season's here. It starts tomorrow. Get hyped for football, baby. And then I'll help you out. You ask me questions about whatever you want for fantasy each and every week, and, we'll take it from there. But thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Tune in Monday night, Bridgeside Sports Live, 9 p.m. We'll all be on. We'll talk football. We'll talk baseball. And then also, don't forget about Bridgeside Live on Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. as well. We out. It's your boy.
Go Bridgeside.